In the annals of history, a captivating and unprecedented climatic anomaly unfolded, an event that would leave indelible marks upon the very fabric of civilization itself. Around the year 536 AD, the sun, the first among stars, seemed to have lost its radiant brilliance, transforming into a pale bluish orb in the heavens. This celestial aberration, prolonged through a whole year, was accompanied by a host of other phenomena that were as extraordinary as they were disconcerting. The once mighty vigor of the sun's heat was reduced to a feeble warmth, and the shadows that graced the earth during noontide hours vanished into thin air. The moon, even when her orb was full, was devoid of her natural splendor, appearing damp and lifeless in the night sky. The course of the seasons that year was a chaotic tapestry, woven from the threads of winter without storms, spring without mildness, and a summer without heat. The months that should have been maturing, the corn were chilled by an icy chill, denying the earth its motherly nurturing touch. The fruits that were once to be formed by gentle showers could no longer be looked for from the parched earth, as the seasons seemed to be all jumbled up together. This period of unparalleled climatic turmoil was not confined to the skies and the earth alone. The middle air was thickened by the rigor of snow and rarefied by the beams of the sun, giving birth to a peculiar phenomenon known as the inane. When pure and lighted up by the rays of the sun, it opened out its true aspect. However, when alien elements were blended with it, it stretched like a hide across the sky, obscuring the true colors of the heavenly bodies and preventing their proper warmth from penetrating. This often occurred during cloudy weather, but in this extraordinary year, its prolongation produced disastrous effects. The inane phenomenon, coupled with the unusual dimness of the sun and the absence of the usual seasons, led to a series of catastrophic consequences. The crops failed on a massive scale across the known world, leading to widespread famine. In Rome, people looked to the heavens with bated breath as the sun gave forth its light without brightness, like the moon, during this whole year. Historian Procopius of Caesarea, who had accompanied the Roman general Flavius Belisarius on his many journeys of conquest, also penned down his account of the year 536 AD. He described the sun as exceedingly like the sun in eclipse, with its beams not clear, nor such as it was accustomed to shed. Cassiodorus, a prominent scholar and statesman in the Roman Empire, also documented this event in a letter to his deputy Ambrosius. It must have been a truly devastating climatic event to witness the sun darkened, the crops failing on a massive scale, and the resulting famine that ensued. But it was not just the Roman Empire that bore the brunt of this calamity. Two sources in Ireland recorded what they called a failure of bread from 536 to 539. Even Chinese sources, such as the Annals of the Tang Dynasty, wrote of a great cold and famine which occurred in 536. The Book of the Later Han and other Chinese texts also recorded a great cold that took place that year. Modern research using Greenland ice core samples has confirmed the existence of this event. An unusual concentration of volcanic particles has been found in the ice layers corresponding to exactly that time. Tree ring analysis reveals that trees grew a lot less than usual in 536, as the sun was so weak. This suggests that there must have been one or a series of volcanic eruptions, most likely in Iceland, which ejected very high quantities of volcanic ash into the atmosphere. These ash particles were carried by the winds far and wide, darkening the sky. This happened probably in the spring of 536, causing a drop in temperatures as much as 2.5 degrees Celsius or 4.5 degrees Fahrenheit below the average temperature. This therefore qualified as some sort of mini ice age. But what made this event even more tragic was the fact that it occurred during a crucial period in the history of the Roman Empire. Only in the year 536 AD, the Roman Emperor Justinian had ordered his most able and skilled general, Belisarius, to attack the Ostrogothic kingdom in Italy. In those days, the Roman Empire was in the throes of a remarkable comeback, seeing an incredible resurgence. It was exactly in that year that Belisarius made landfall in Italy, capturing city after city, marching north towards Rome, the eternal city, like an unstoppable juggernaut. However, the volcanic events and the darkening of the sky, the famine, and the resulting weakened immune system of millions of people across the Mediterranean, combined with the plague that came from the east, probably transmitted by rats in 541. In 531 AD, possibly imported in the wars against the Persians in the preceding years, turned the situation even worse. The Yersinia pestis bacterium found millions of weakened hosts to prey upon, and the plague started spreading. The highly advanced and urbanized society of the Roman Empire was hit much harder than the sparsely populated rural areas. The Romans had roads and cities with hundreds of thousands of inhabitants. They had bathing houses where the disease could be transmitted even more easily, and they had absolutely no knowledge of bacteria and how diseases are transmitted. Millions of Romans died in 541, and the following years, even the Emperor Justinian himself fell sick and almost died, just barely surviving. Thousands of people were dying in Constantinople alone every single day. The Roman army, already negatively affected due to the crop failures, with increasing difficulties to supply the troops with meals, now faced another brutal whammy as tens of thousands of soldiers fell sick across the entire empire. The army size, peaking in the late 500s at an estimated 350,000 troops, plunged to 150,000 in the course of just a decade. The war with the Ostrogoths had gone pretty well. Belisarius had managed to conquer almost the entire kingdom in just a few years, from 536 to 540, capturing city after city, marching north towards Rome, towards the Eternal City. But the plague hit, and thus a war that should have been over could ignite again. The Ostrogoths immediately used the weakness of the Roman Empire due to the plague to their advantage, and the war dragged on for 15 more years. Nay, actually for almost 20 more years. Italy was plunged into darkness. Entire cities were depopulated and ravaged by 2 more decades of war. Rome at one time had only a few thousand people remaining in this giant city. It was almost abandoned. So bad was the situation in those times. And as with the climate events that kept recurring until 547, so did the plague have multiple outbreaks that kept recurring time and time again, even until the 8th century. Had these volcanic eruptions not happened, I think that the world would look completely different today. The Roman Empire might actually not have fallen, or if then, much, much later. Without the volcanic eruptions, there would have been no temperature drops and crop failures, therefore no hunger, no famine, and no weakened immune system of millions of people. Thus, the outbreak of the plague would have been much slower, and the survival rate much higher. In that parallel universe, the Ostrogoths would have never seen such a resurgence that kingdom would have been annexed completely in the 540s. Then Belisarius would have been tasked to conquer the Vandal kingdom, and knowing Belisarius, he would have done it with 15,000 men tops, like the complete Gigachad that he was. The Franks would have trembled before the might of Rome, and it would have only been a matter of time until they would have been next on the list of reconquered kingdoms. Because remember, only 70 years earlier, these were Roman lands which the Franks and the other Germanic tribes had conquered unlawfully. These kingdoms would have been utterly destroyed by the might of Rome, and talking of Rome, the city of Rome would have not been plunged into utter darkness and chaos, and the Middle Ages in Italy would have been possibly averted. In that timeline, free of famine and plague, the cities of Italy, and especially Rome, would have been repaired and rebuilt, and Rome in that timeline might have shone forth again like a beacon of art, beauty, of law, rhetoric, and culture. But alas, the volcanoes did erupt, famine and plague did happen, and so the reconquest of the last provinces of the Roman Empire came to an abrupt halt. Therefore, these dark times, dark in the truest sense of the word, from 536 to 547, were the foreshadowing of things to come. A darkness descended onto the world, and Italy was indeed plunged into the Dark Ages, and living standards fell sharply. The Eastern Roman Empire would never be able to regain its complete strength, and thus would continue shrinking. So the importance of the climatic event of 536 and following years cannot be overstated. And this event not happened, the world in which we would now live would look completely different. How exactly would look? Your guess is as good as mine. If you like this text, please consider supporting the author via Patreon or YouTube membership, because it is your support that makes this work possible. You would have my utmost gratitude, and of course, I want to thank everybody who is supporting my work. And if you want to learn more about how the genius General Belisarius reconquered the Vandal kingdom with only 15,000 men, you can watch this video in the upper right corner. But if you want to learn more about the utter devastation that the Gothic Wars caused, you can watch the other video in the lower right corner. I say thanks again to all friends of Roman HI. Story, Gratus, Tibiago, and Pin in Valette. For those interested in delving deeper into the topic, various historical texts provide valuable insights into the events of 536 AD and the subsequent years. The works of Procopius of Caesarea and Cassiodorus, as mentioned earlier, offer first-hand accounts of the climatic anomaly and its impact on the Roman Empire. Additionally, the Book of the Later Han and other Chinese texts offer a unique perspective on the same events from the eastern side of the world. Modern scholarship also sheds light on the subject, with studies such as the analysis of Greenland ice cores and tree ring data providing evidence for the volcanic origin of the climatic event. Furthermore, research into the bacterial history of the plague and its spread can help us better understand the devastating impact of this disease on the Roman Empire and the wider world. It is fascinating to consider the ripple effects of the events of 536 AD on the course of world history, and to ponder upon the hypothetical parallel universe where these disasters did not occur. One can only imagine the different trajectory of the Roman Empire, Europe, and ultimately the world had the sun not dimmed, the crops not failed, and the plague not spread. As we look back on the annals of history, it is essential to appreciate the profound impact that seemingly small events can have on the course of civilizations. In conclusion, the climatic event of 536 AD and the subsequent years was a pivotal moment in the history of the world. Its impact on the Roman Empire, and by extension, the course of European and world history, cannot be overstated. The celestial anomaly, the inane phenomenon, the crop failures, and the ensuing plague combined to create a perfect storm of disaster, leading to the decline of the Roman Empire, the plunge of Italy into the Dark Ages, and the resurgence of the Germanic tribes. It is a reminder that history, like the weather, can be unpredictable and chaotic, with small events having profound implications. As we look back on the annals of history, it is essential to appreciate the interconnectedness of events and the delicate balance that exists in the world. For it is only by understanding the past that we can hope to navigate the uncertainties of the future. And so as we stand on the precipice of the present, gazing back at the annals of history, let us remember the lessons of 536 AD. Let us remember the power of the sun, the importance of the crops, and the devastation wrought by disease. Let us remember that history, like the weather, can be unpredictable and chaotic, but also that it offers us valuable lessons that can guide us through the storms of life. And if you are interested in learning more about the fascinating history of the Roman Empire, or the exploits of Belisarius and other great generals, I invite you to explore the wealth of resources available online and in print. For the annals of history are a treasure trove of stories waiting to be discovered, and the journey of learning is a rewarding one indeed. So let us embark on this journey together, and may we find inspiration in the examples of the past to face the challenges of the present and the future with courage, wisdom, and determination.